Yesterday, we spoke about how the pandemic had negatively affected restaurants and small businesses. Well, this may be some good news. We don't know how it's going to play out yet, but yesterday, top congressional leaders met for the first time in months to discuss coronavirus relief. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi also spoke with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin on the phone for more than an hour Tuesday before the top 4 leaders in Congress met later in the day. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has insisted on including a provision to bar lawsuits by people who say they were negatively exposed to coronavirus by a business. But the Democrats want to make sure that states get $160 billion to cover their costs from the lost revenue from coronavirus. Because the difference between state budgets and federal budgets is the U.S. government can print money. So they want to be able to, print more money. They can do it. But the state of New York, the state of California, the state of Florida, they can't print money. Towns can't print money. So because of that, if state budgets fall short, people get fired. If federal budgets fall short, the U.S. government just
we got to make some. Yep.
Print it. They start printing it. So the states are running short, and a lot of state employees, I feel bad for everybody, so every time I hear these stories, but state employees are at risk of losing their jobs. And the reason you go to work for the government is because you say, I'm going to have security, a steady job.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, most people can get higher salaries in the private sector than they can working for the government. But you get job security and a pension and everything else. And nobody expects to lose their job and not get paid once they work for, state or city. So I feel bad for those people. Hopefully nobody gets laid off. They are not talking about another $1,200 stimulus, but they are talking about extending unemployment insurance for people and perhaps also giving that loan to small businesses. I think the loan to small businesses is not necessary because I believe that if people get money in their pocket, they're going to spend it. And they're going to spend it with businesses. So the loans aren't as important as stimulus checks and unemployment. I think loans are just giveaways to people who own businesses. When you give money to individuals through stimulus checks and unemployment or higher unemployment checks, they're going to take that money and they're going to spend it. And they're going to spend it with businesses. So
I feel like we've seen that a lot, even in this season, in this round. Like I feel like even myself, I'm a lot more aware of small businesses. So where I can invest, even in holiday shopping, like I'm going to support an entrepreneur, or a small business because it's only fair. I mean, that's what keeps everything going around.
Well, during the last, lockdown in March and April, unemployment shot up and people were getting laid off and businesses didn't know if anybody was going to actually even come into their businesses. But once people started getting their stimulus checks and the steroids, they called it, the steroids unemployment checks, business came back to a lot. I mean, it's not back to what it was 2019, but the economy stabilized. So I hope that they're able to do something with a stimulus check. I hope they're able to do something with more unemployment for people who can't find jobs. And I think that would actually spur, the economy more than another loan for small businesses. I mean, I'm not going to turn it down. Obviously, if government wants to give me a loan, I'm happy to take it. But I don't think that's what is the number one priority. At this moment, but we'll see what happens. And this was very interesting also. Dr. Fauci, he's, the head of coronavirus, in the United States. He had said recently on a interview, he was asked by Sanjay Gupta on CNN if he knows anybody close to him who died. And he revealed this week that his daughter's boyfriend, the brother, I guess who would be the future brother-in-law if they were to get married, he was 32 years old and he died of coronavirus. Wow. You don't really think about young people dying. How old are you? If I ask,
I'm 29.
Is that rude for me to ask you? I apologize. You're not supposed to ask.
No. If anything, it makes it, I connect with the story a little bit more because that's not too far from my age. Yeah. So, even though when we talk about coronavirus, sometimes we do say, like, even though, I feel like you and Yo-Yo would be at less risk, and then you hear something like this.
Right. But wait till you hear this. So you're 29.
Yep.
All right. You'll be shocked to hear that new statistics came out, and the United States has actually had 76,000 people die of coronavirus between the ages of 25 and 44 since the pandemic started.
Wow.
All right. Would you believe that? I wouldn't.
12,000 and 12,000 more are expected.
Yeah. 76,000 Americans. So, he's 79, Dr. Fauci, but he went on to explain, that the severity of the virus can hit anybody at any age. And he said that, you don't want to overwhelm the general public, but you want them to at least understand that they're dealing with real suffering and real disease and real loss in the form of loved ones. And, his, daughter's, boyfriend's brother died. So I'm sure that they were dealing with that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's the age range that feels the safest to be out and about right now, dining here, gatherings there.
Right.
So.
Meanwhile, according to statistics from the Johns Hopkins University, there's now more than 73 million coronavirus cases worldwide. In the United States, 16.7 million people have been diagnosed with COVID, 304,000 deaths. I'm sure there's a lot more than those that have been diagnosed already. Just on Monday, we hit over 300,000 people dead.
Wow.
We're averaging right now, more than 3,000 deaths per day. That's basically a 9/11 every day, or a Pearl Harbor every day. Every day, imagine 3,000 people dying.
And this is in less than a year.
Right. We're averaging 3,000 deaths per day. Every day there's a new 9/11.
Wow.
Yeah. Now the vaccine is starting to be administered. It should reach more than 600 administration sites nationwide by the end of the week. The FDA found absolutely no safety concerns with the vaccine, and Pfizer has run tests that included about 44,000 people and found the vaccine's efficacy was consistent across age, gender, race, and ethnicity. Efficacy is a word I never heard before all of this, but it means it works.
Yeah.
I've never used the word efficacy before this, but I seem to be using it every day now. I would say the word efficacy would be in running for the Webster's 2021 word.
Pandemic.
Yeah, like pandemic was this year. I think efficacy. Efficacy will be next year's word. First responders, people in nursing homes, they're going to get the vaccine first. And the problem is right now that the United States needs to vaccinate 300 million people. And at the moment, they have only purchased enough vaccines between Moderna and Pfizer. Moderna is going to be approved very shortly to vaccinate approximately 50 million people. They are going to purchase another 50 million, hopefully, from Pfizer. That's 100 million people, but we're still at this moment going to be 200 million vials short.
200 million.
Right. So we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, poor countries, they're going to be a lot worse than us rich countries. The initiative known as COVAX, created to ensure the entire world has access to COVID vaccines, has secured only a fraction of the 2 billion doses it hopes to buy over the next year. COVAX was set up by the World Health Organization to avoid the international stampede for vaccines that has accompanied past outbreaks. But now some poorer countries that have signed up for the initiative are looking for alternatives because they fear that they are not going to get it. Of the approximately 12 billion doses the pharmaceutical industry is expected to produce next year, about 9 billion shots have already been reserved by rich countries. U.S. border officials, changing a little bit, U.S. border officials expelled dozens of migrant children in violation of court orders. The Trump administration admitted on Saturday that U.S. border officials continued to expel at least 66 unaccompanied migrant children without a court hearing or asylum interview after a federal judge ordered them to stop the practice. In a federal court filing, lawyers acknowledged the convention of a ruling issued by U.S. District Court Judge Evan Sullivan in November that prohibits the administration from using a pandemic-era emergency border policy to expel minors who are apprehended without the parent or legal guardian. On November 18, Sullivan found that the public health law the Trump administration has been invoking since March does not allow immigration authorities to expel border crossers with little or no due process. He also rejected the argument that the public health authority, which dates back to the late 19th century, overrides several legal safeguards Congress established for migrant children. Though this ruling, Sullivan designated all accompanied migrant children taken into U.S. custody as class members in the court case. Federal laws require border officials to quickly transfer unaccompanied migrant children to shelters and other housing facilities administered by the Office of Refugee Resettlement, which is mandated to connect the minors with lawyers and child advocates while they pursue asylum or other relief from deportation.
I can't wait to see if there's change in this. I really hope that we have different conversations on this topic in this coming year.
I can't imagine that the Biden administration is going to continue this. We're going to look back on this as a huge stain on America and what America has done. But we're going to look back in history. History isn't determined in the present. It's determined in history. That's why they call it history. Yeah. While an asylum agreement between the United States and El Salvador is ready to go into effect also. The agreement signed last year would send some migrants requesting asylum at the U.S. border to El Salvador to seek protection. Immigrant advocate groups have criticized the agreement, arguing that they put migrants in harm's way. The agreement was scheduled to be part of the discussion between Wolf and El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele this week, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Basically, what they're going to do is people come for asylum if they went from Honduras or Guatemala or from some other Central American countries, and they're going to say, go apply for asylum in El Salvador, which, by the way, is not the safest place for them to begin with.
Yeah. And then there's just so many Latino countries in the border. So it's just bananas.
What's in it for El Salvador? What are they getting for accepting asylum applicants? What has the United States offered El Salvador, or basically threatened El Salvador if they don't do this? We don't know.
There's so much pop. That's such a vulnerable republic. Yeah. Like, that's a very vulnerable republic.
Yeah, it just seems very odd that all of a sudden El Salvador says, yes, I'll take all the migrants. Somebody, just my Uncle Brad sense, and I have no,
Spidey senses.
My Uncle Brad sense says somebody's getting really rich and bribed over this, and I have no evidence of this whatsoever. So I'm not saying that anybody is, but to me.
Right.
How does El Salvador all of a sudden decide that they're going to take all migrants who are applying for asylum in the United States? And I'm sorry, U.S. is going to send them to El Salvador. And El Salvador says, yes, come.
Right.
They can't even deal with their own people there. People are leaving El Salvador.
Every day.
So I'm not sure what's going on there, but it seems something very suspicious or devious. I think it's going to be a complicated process to undo all of what Trump did. This is an odd debate going on right now. There was an editorial in the Wall Street Journal that criticized Joe Biden's wife, Jill Biden. She has a doctorate degree in education. So she calls herself Dr. Biden. But in an editorial page in the Wall Street Journal, Paul Gageot, he basically said, why is she Dr. Biden? She's trying to fool people that she's a medical doctor. Unless you're a medical doctor, you don't usually say doctor. In the title.
Yeah. Like professor. Like a professor wouldn't.
Right. So nearly every major news outlet ran a story over the weekend on the backlash. It was actually the original essay was written by Joseph Epstein. No relation to Epstein, who killed himself. But look who's here. Look who decides to join us.
He's back.
The snowstorm is not trying to be my friend.
He's unfrozen himself.
Yeah, and can you hear me?
Yes, I do hear
perfectly.
You.
Like better than ever, actually.
Okay, godly.
I thought you were just method acting and said, you know what? I want to go out in the snow, get really cold for my next role in the live action Frozen movie.
No,
But,
I'm here. And I still have them on hold right now because I'm telling them, please make sure it doesn't happen again.
Check. Oh, you came in right on time, Yo-Yo, because I want to hear what you think about this.
yes.
Okay. What happened?
So what we were talking about is there was an essay in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend written actually by a guy by the name of Joseph Epstein. And it sparked controversy because he said, why is Jill Biden calling herself Dr. Jill Biden? She's not a medical doctor. So she shouldn't be calling herself Dr. Jill Biden. But the fact is, she has a doctorate degree.
Yes.
She has a degree in education as a doctor. And as a result, she's earned the right, if she chooses to call herself Dr. Biden.
Yeah.
And every major news outlet ran a story over the weekend on the backlash. And among the critics, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, husband Doug Emhoff, and Northwestern University, where Epstein taught for the last 30 years, has basically put him on suspension for suggesting this. And in the column, because Epstein suggested Biden consider stowing away her title, at least for now, inviting her to forget the small thrill of being Dr. Jill and settle for the larger thrill of living in the next 4 years in the best public housing in the world as First Lady Jill Biden. Now, he began his column really rudely. He wrote, Madam First Lady, Miss Biden, Jill Kiddo. A bit of advice, a small but I think is not unimportant matter. Any chance you might drop the doctor before your name, Dr. Jill Biden, sounds and feels fraudulent, not to say a touch comic. Your degree, I believe, is in education, not a medical doctor.
That is ridiculous.
Haters are gonna hate.
That is ridiculous.
What do you think of that?
That's ridiculous.
Now, she has the right to call herself Dr. Biden.
Absolutely. I have professors that had, doctorates, that we called them doctor and their name as well. I have frat brothers. They worked hard for that. They studied for that. That just because it has doctor in your name doesn't mean that it's just for medical doctors.
That is very true. Now, I will take it one step further. I have no problem with her calling herself Dr. Biden. If I met her, I would call her Dr. Biden because that's what she's proud of, earning that diploma and degree, and she wants the honor of being called that. And she has every right. I have a Juris Doctor. I have a doctorate degree too. I personally don't feel comfortable being called Dr. Bernstein. I always think of a doctor as a medical doctor, so I would never call myself Dr. Bernstein. But I have the right to call myself Dr. Bernstein if I really wanted to, because I have a Juris Doctor. I have a doctor of law. I'm a doctor of law. But I don't have a preference. Personal preference. I don't have a problem with somebody calling themselves that.
Yeah, I don't either. That's wild.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Sasha Ford said, I have a professor who tells us to address them as Dr. OMG. It's too early for the hate train.
Yeah, it's way too early.
Yeah.
But I mean, we knew that this was going to come, we already knew that people were going to hate. This is just, something she's just going to have to dust off her shoulders. I feel like she should not take out the doctor from her name. She has earned that. She needs to tell us what she wants us to call her. Madam.
That's right.
First President, Dr. Jill Biden. That's what I'll call her.
Some people come, in and say, Mr. Bernstein. And I don't even like to be called Mr. Bernstein. I mean, I have a right to be called Mr. Bernstein. I have a right.
Right. That's your last name. And you're a Mr.
Bernstein. But I don't personally like to be called Mr. Bernstein. I find it uncool. I would just rather be called Brad. So I tell everybody, just call me Brad. That's how I feel comfortable being called. I don't want to be Dr. Brad. I actually got used to Uncle Brad. So that took a while. But I don't like to be called Mr. Bernstein or anything. I certainly don't want to be called Dr. Bernstein. I like just Brad. That's who I am. But everyone to each his own. And that goes. And by the way, that goes across everything, why does that bother anybody? Why would that bother anybody?
Well, it's going to get even better when she's Dr. First Lady.
Yeah, but in other words, why would that bother anybody? It's the same thing, to me, why did it take so long to have same-sex marriages. I don't get it. If people are happy, how's it bothering somebody else?
It's wild to me. It's just wild to me that other people's business matters so much to a stranger who's not getting paid for their business. But it's like, what does it I don't have enough energy to worry about other people's business. I don't got the time.
I mean, personally, I don't want to be in a same-sex marriage. Personally, it's not my thing. All right,
right? But who's to say that other people can't?
But if two people are happy, why would anybody care?
Right, you would think.
It's the same thing with this. Why would anybody care that she calls herself Dr. Biden? It makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to me. So what happened to this person? You said they got suspended, or
he was a professor. He was a professor at Northwestern. And he got suspended from Northwestern.
Good,
because it was basically misogynist in the sense that a woman earned a title, and then you're saying she's not allowed to use that title. The sexiest mensch alive, the nice Jewish guy 2021 calendar is here. You know what a mensch is, by the way? You ever hear that word? Jonathan maybe knows it.
I've heard of that.
You did the bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvah circuit.
Yes. Why? I've heard of it. What is it again?
A mensch is just a really good person, good human being.
Okay.
So when you say, you know what, you're a mensch, you're saying, you know what, you're a good human being.
Okay. No wonder I've heard it so many times.
Yeah. So, they always say that, yo, what a mensch,
Yeah.
Good human being. So the sexiest mensch alive, it is a calendar for the nice Jewish guy.
Wow.
Now, whoever said nice mensches finish last, obviously they've never glimpsed at the nice Jewish guy wall calendar since its debut in 2009. More than 100 Hebrew hotties, they call them.
I can't.
The kind of smart, shy, bespectacled guys you want to invite over for Chinese food on Christmas. That joke. The only time you could ever find, when you walk into a Chinese restaurant on Christmas Eve on December 24th, every person who is eating at that Chinese restaurant is either Chinese or Jewish. That's it, because everybody else is celebrating Christmas except those two.
Right. That makes sense.
So it is the guy you want to invite for Chinese food on Christmas. So creator Adam post. It's actually ridiculous. And he came up with the idea of a calendar filled with the Bubby-approved benches on a lark. He said it started as a funny idea. Let's just do one. It'd be a gas. Now each month features an approachable guy and a few fun facts about him. Now some standouts.
You're gonna have to send in your submission. Dr. Bernstein.
Yeah. Dr. Bernstein has not been mentioned in this calendar yet.
Would you take it?
I got to hit the gym maybe for next year. Maybe I'll do a topless pose for the 2022.
Hebrew hotties are an energy too, Brad.
Yeah.
It's so shallow of you to think it's just a physical competition.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Look at my guy right here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call anybody out, but I think I belong there ahead of him. I don't know.
Apple a day keeps the doctor away. That one said.
I would like to see you in the calendar. Not gonna lie.
All right. Let's start a petition. Meanwhile, a budget airline in Russia is under fire for a planet's phallic flight route. Russia's state aviation authority has recommended to the national carrier Aeroflot to consider firing the head of its budget airline after one of its passenger planes appeared to trace a phallic route in the sky during a commercial flight.
Oh my gosh. What?
Are you kidding me?
Is that real?
The authorities sent a report that the crew of the Moscow flight deviated from its authorized flight plan on November 11th for maneuvers with 102 passengers online. Russian media has cast the maneuvers as a gesture of public support for soccer star Artem Dzyuba, who has been dropped from the Russian national team after the leak of a private, intimate video featuring a man similar to him. The commission said the plane had not needed to deviate from its path for security reasons and flew the path of the phallic symbol that I saw. That was actually very funny.
Yo,
that's funny.
First of all, why are they making all those loops?
What? I don't even know how the plane would be able to draw. I can't even draw that, let alone fly that. You know?
Right.
You guys,
all right, Julian, I don't
being
need to see this
a
anymore.
passenger.
What?
No. Imagine being a passenger on that plane.
You imagine being a passenger, honey. What do you think? What do you think we're doing? We seem to be flying in circles. What do you think is happening?
What? That is wild.
That is too wild.
Meanwhile, a hotel has granted a couple of 18-year-olds some free stays for making a baby in one of their rooms back on Valentine's Day.
Oh, God.
Yes, Hotel Z, of course, in British Columbia, not England. This is Canada. Offered couples the chance to win 18 years of free accommodation if roughly 9 months following their stay, they had a baby. That's hilarious.
Wow.
Well, Nicole and Alexander Bashinsky and their 3.5-year-old son are getting ready to welcome a new member of the family. The Kelowna-based couple took advantage of Hotel Z's Nooner special this past Friday, the 14th. Hotel Z, which also has locations in Victoria and Tofino, had offered the 4-hour Nooner special for the past 5 years. Basically, it's an hour rate motel. And if you can prove you got to burn
what?
After staying there.
Which, for the record, is October babies.
That's hilarious.
October babies are usually Valentine's Day babies.
It wasn't even like a regular hotel that you like stayed overnight, like a Marriott or a Hilton. It's
right.
Got it. It's just counting on his fingers.
Yeah, because I'm like counting.
It's the hourly rate hotel where you go to like the cheap your girlfriend or spouse for 4 hours, you know?
Yeah. So wait,
or
so
British Columbia.
In British Columbia.
And so they conceived Valentine's Day at the hotel.
Do you know now that we're talking, you know what my birthday is?
Yes.
Exactly. You're around those days.
Yes. So that means
if you count backwards, my parents conceived about New Year's Eve.
Ooh.
Let's get it on.
My parents in New Year's Eve, 1968. They must have been hippies back then.
Something.
They had some special New Year's Eve going on that day. Right? Because I was born September 27th, 1968.
Right.
See, and I'm October 27th.
So what happened on you? You were Valentine's Day, right?
So how about mine? I'm in April. So what does that make me?
You were a summer baby, like you were summer. Like over summer nights on the beach,
right?
Summer loving happened so fast.
Yeah,
summer loving
had me a blast.
Something cute as can be. Okay, that's not
Yo method acting, getting ready for his role in Frozen. He was a pharmaceutical company in Tennessee. This is some serious stuff. They have to call both erectile dysfunction drugs and antidepressants after mixing up the shipments. A pharmaceutical company called AV Care had to call a lot of 100 milligram trazodone, an antidepressant and tranquilizer, and another of sildenafil, which is sildenafil is I guess Viagra. And the medications were switched during the bottling process at the factory. But the good news is they caught the mistake early and nobody was hurt by the mix-up. It would be quite funny if you're like, man, I'm so depressed, but wow, I seem to be very, very, very excited at the same time.
Yeah, wouldn't that kind of take you out of the funk, the depressive funk?
I kind of like this antidepressant. It's making me very.
I'm just saying. That's an upper.
It kicked quick. I didn't expect this to kick up so quick.
Right. Or if it was the other way around, it would be like, I can't seem to get excited, but I'm really, really, really happy right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I've never been so happy for not being excited.
I don't know. It kind of sounds like it might not have been a lose-lose situation for both.
Right.
Meanwhile, I was telling Vanessa, when we do these pop-ups, we just get sillier and sillier, A COVID-related pickup lines were a massively popular trend among Tinder users this year, according to the dating app. Tinder released examples of pickup lines like, "Let's be like the coronavirus and catch each other."
Wow.
I mean, I kind of like that.
That's the worst pickup line I've ever heard in my entire life.
I kind of like it.
Vanessa, if somebody texted you, "Let's be like the coronavirus and catch each other."
Not funny, bro.
You wouldn't smirk.
I mean, yeah, of course I would, but then I'd be like, darn, that's not cool.
Yeah, he's got to have a good follow-up after that,
Yeah.
There's got to be a good follow-up after that.
That's quick. If the guy was cute and you thought that, look, this is because we don't want your boyfriend to come beat me and Brad up. But like, if the guy was cute and he was like, cute flirting and said, "Oh, let's be like Corona and catch each other."
Every girl wants to laugh. Because it's been a crazy year. So like, let's get a little haha out of it, Maybe. You're right.
Yeah, you always try and turn a negative into a positive. And then if you could do it in a charming way, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, by the way, some of the other top pickup lines were, "Let's quarantine and chill." "Let's wash your hands so you can come hold mine." Yeah.
Oh, see, I like that.
That's looking for a +1 from my family Zoom calls.
I'm actually going to use some of these. See how they work.
Looking for someone to pump up my heart rate so my glasses fog with my mask on.
They're kind of fun. I like them.
And then finally, the last one was, "A month ago I needed cuddles, but right now I just need sanitizer and face mask. Can you help me out?"
I'm here for them. I'm here for it.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, a lot of people were mentioning Carol Baskin killed her husband in reference to the Tiger King conspiracy theory. And masks was a huge rise in popularity. And the shrug emoji was the #1 emoji used on the dating app. So that's what's going on.
The shrug?
The shrug.
I mean, what you gonna do?
I would have thought it.
Uh-oh.
Wouldn't that be more? Wouldn't the wink be a little more?
Wait, what'd you say? You froze for a second. What'd you say?
I said I would have thought it would have been the wink.
The wink, yeah.
Yeah, isn't the wink a little more flirtatious? You don't want to basically start sending kisses and hearts because that could be a little, too much. But wink.
I'm surprised it ain't the eggplant.
the eggplant and a squirt of water, right?
Right. I mean, listen, cut the small talk at this point.
Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.